Live from the Rocky Mountains, this is Redacted. I'm Clayton Morris.
I'm Natalie Morris.
And on this show, we cover the stories the mainstream media is largely ignoring, or we have to sort of sift through all of the propaganda right now. And the battle lines are drawn over the SNAP program, the EBT food stamp benefits, which run out on Saturday. And, of course, Democrats are holding press conferences right now. Bernie Sanders saying Trump is trying to starve people. Republicans are saying Democrats are trying to starve people. But really, what's at play here? We're going to look at this impending, perhaps a civil war with individuals saying they're going to rob stores. They're going to come after people who are buying groceries and rob them in the parking lot. What is actually happening? We're going to talk about all of that on the show today.
We're also going to talk about how the ceasefire is not holding in Israel. We knew that. Children continue to be targeted by the IDF. We're also going to rewind the clock and talk about the journalist, the American journalist who was shot by the IDF, because now intelligence says, yes, she was targeted. We knew that. This was a big story before the war in Gaza, before October 7th. It's important that we remind ourselves that we've always known that the IDF targets civilians and journalists, and this is not new. Also, Bill Gates wants to vaccinate your meat. He has a new position on climate change. He says, climate change is not that bad. We overblew it. I don't think this is really a big problem anymore. But we're going to vaccinate your meat. So we're going to show you exactly what that joker is saying, because it's outrageous.
Yeah. Okay. We got a lot to talk about. And by the way, I don't know if you've seen some of the failures of ICE. They go into these territories, they go into these towns, and they're like getting in fights, and they're really not able to arrest people as tactfully and as artfully as the Border Patrol. Well, now there's a huge shakeup with ICE, and the Customs and Border Protection is going to step in. It's like daddy is home. We're going to talk all about that today. Coming up on the show. But first,
we want to tell you about our friends over at Shopify, because did you know that you can launch an online store for whatever it is that you want to show the world? And you can do it really easily on Shopify. What you're looking at there is the Redacted store, which runs on Shopify. You know that because of that little purple pay button, the shop pay button. Whenever you see that on the web, you'll know automatically that you're on a website that's run by Shopify, and it couldn't be easier. They take you from the idea stage to implementation stage to, oh my gosh, you made $1 million stage. And they help you every step of the way. Now, if you don't think you're strong in graphic design, you don't know back-end payment systems, you don't have to worry, because Shopify will help you implement your ideas, make it beautiful, and launch to the world. So whatever your idea is, you can get started. Sign up for a 1-month trial period today. Head on over to shopify.com/redacted. They have everything that you need to grow your business. And again, they run businesses from the Redacted store, other household names like Mattel, Gymshark, brands just getting started. So they are ready to help you become a household name too. One more time, that's shopify.com/redacted. Shopify.com/redacted.
Brian in our chat says children are not being targeted by the IDF. Are you kidding me?
Are you new here?
Like, have you not even heard from IDF whistleblowers who confirm as much? I mean, this is well documented. Like, really? Okay. All right. But anyway, hey, welcome. You're new here. Nice to see you.
Yeah, welcome to Earth.
Welcome to reality. Okay. I just had to laugh out loud. I was like, really? You're saying that? You're believing that delusion? Okay, you're watching like Fox News or something? Anyway, enough on that. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll ask Dave DeCamp from antiwar.com if that's true or not. Okay, well, let's talk about this. This is an emergency moment in the United States. Are we about to face a food stamp civil war in this country when Democrats and the deep state intentionally cut off food stamps and the EBT program for low-income Americans? They did so intentionally, of course, as part of the government shutdown. Why? Why would they do that? Well, because it's the perfect deep state catalyst to spark a revolution. Come this Saturday, SNAP recipients will not see their November benefits show up in their account that were due, that's of course due to the government shutdown. So those cards will not be filled with food stamp monies. Black women are taking to social media, specifically black women like TikTok, to say that they will rob and kill white people. In fact, one woman says she's going to eat white people tasting that delicious cracker if she doesn't get her food stamps. Watch.
I just wanted to come real fast just to make this video, just to make something very, very clear to the white man. Black Americans do not care about your government shutdown, and Black Americans do not care about you taking away our EBT and our government assistance, because Black Americans never depended on the American government to take care of us and feed us, because we never could. We were never able to depend on the government, in spite of what you may say and what you may try to force us to believe. So you can sit back and you can mock, you can laugh, and you can think that you're about to starve us to death. But I'm here to let you know that we are going to eat regardless, even if we have to hunt you animals down and roast and eat you, the delectable crackers and cheese.
Okay, I just want to say, I would like to let you know that Black people reduced their own poverty level by 80% before the Civil Rights Act was enacted by LBG, who was a racist. So Black people are more than capable of rising themselves out of poverty without any government assistance. She needs to read her Thomas Sowell. I just want to let her know that. Because it belies actual economics. So the idea that you have always been dependent is not true. I'm sorry you think so little of yourself.
Well, if killing and eating white people wasn't... Why does I keep doing that? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Happening with our... I don't know what happens back there. David, maybe you can take care of that. Well, if killing and eating white people wasn't enough, Black women, TikTokers, are saying if food stamps are cut off, they're going to steal whatever food they want from people that are using their own money to buy food. Watch.
And people are going to start, I'm telling you, this is going to be a thing. People are going to start, instead of stealing groceries from the stores, they're going to start watching people go to their cars. And they're going to take all of their groceries. And you know what the store going to do? Not our problem. Not our business.
Okay, so you're encouraging people who buy groceries lawfully with their own money, who work hard and try to provide for their family, just go out and attack those people and steal their food. Okay, because the government won't give you free food or free SNAP benefits. Take those groceries, another girl says. Just go and take those groceries. Watch.
If you got to take those groceries, go ahead and take them. If you got to walk smooth out the door, just take them. I don't care. I support you. I support that message, and I'm going to mind my business.
Yeah, so just go ahead and do it. It's no big deal. Women also showing online already in preparation for the food stamps. They've already been stealing and going to different grocery stores with trash bags. Just grab, and she says, just use a purse, use a trash bag, go to the store and just grab whatever food you can. She's loaded up on lobster and steaks. Which is hilarious because most people who use food stamps don't buy lobster or steak. They buy cheese balls and cheese puffs and processed food. But anyway, she has a whole bag full of groceries that she stole from the store, and she's encouraging other people to do it.
Hell, they talking about no food stamps. Y'all can take y'all purses if y'all want to. Y'all can take y'all purses if y'all want to. I ain't taking no purse. Yeah, steak. What you mean, steak? We about to eat good over here, baby. I ain't stopping shit.
All right. Just so you understand, 12% of Americans are on SNAP program or on food stamps. Overwhelmingly, white Americans are on food stamps. The most people who use food stamps are white Americans.
That tracks because the highest group of poverty is white.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting then why Black men are now taking to Twitter and they're taking to TikTok and they're saying, it's very curious. Why are you not hearing from fit Black men? Why are you not hearing from white people? Why are you hearing just from Black women who are saying go out and steal and loot stores? Listen.
So the government is taking away EBT cards. And you know who's not complaining? Black men. I thought we were supposed to be broke. Especially fit Black men, as one video girl said. I thought we were supposed to be broke. I don't even see white folks complaining since they're supposed to be more on welfare. Where are their videos? I do see one group complaining.
Black women. Other Black men are calling out this bullshit, and they are pointing out that these people are so upset about their food stamps. It's not about the food. They don't care about the food and the food stamps. They're stealing, or they're selling their food stamps. and they're making they're getting cash then to buy other things.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Like, the real reason why a lot of people are upset about this whole food stamps, SNAP benefit thing, bro, is because they're selling their food stamps, bro. They're selling them. I'm telling you, they are selling their food stamps, bro. You know how many people in New York and other states right now are going to the corner store, the deli, and they're selling their food stamps, bro? They're selling, that's why they're getting like $4,000, $3,000 in food stamps, and they're selling it for cash. They'll get $4,000 in food stamps, and they'll just take like $1,000 in cash.
Yeah. One woman who works at a liquor store made this point. This woman gets it. She agrees with him. She knows these people are selling their food stamps to get cash, and they come in and they buy alcohol with it. She works at a liquor store. She says it every day, and she says life is about to start lifing for some people. Watch.
You know how many people I've seen sell food stamps to get their hair done, nails done, their toes done, buy an outfit to go to the club, drugs? A lot. If I've seen it, other people seen it. You know what? That's why people don't give two fucks. I've seen people, women, get a new man. The man got the food stamp. Now, the food stamp is for her and her kids. The man has the food stamp card and he in the grocery store buying shit that he want. People see that shit. You know what? They don't give two fucks. You know, some kids go to school and get breakfast and lunch, no dinner, because mama not sold the food stamps for shit that she wanted.
Yeah, going to the club, getting her hair done, everything else. And she says life is going to start, these people are going to start experiencing life for the first time. So what's really going on here? Does this benefit Democrats? Are deep state forces here want a revolution? Does it benefit Donald Trump? Does it benefit us to be in a bit of a civil war when these food stamps run out? That's what they want, to foment this discontent. Mike Adams is the founder of Brighton.ai. I call him the Health Ranger. That's what he calls himself on X. Love this guy because that's his screen name on X. He's the founder of naturalnews.com, and he is going to be joining us here in a second. Okay, he's still connecting. All right.
But first, let's talk about the idea that food stamps could be put forward in a separate bill. Now, this is something that Thomas Massie has said many times. We don't need a spending bill. We need to just take these things one little bit at a time, fund them or don't, because the spending bill is always stuffed with all kinds of cruft, things that most Americans don't want. Now, most Americans do support welfare programs like SNAP. Unfortunately, they know that they are perverted. Now, Chuck Schumer is saying the GOP should put up a standalone bill because they want just to fund food stamps. Why? Because they don't want to be blamed for it. Because Democrats refuse to pass a spending bill until they get back the Medicare benefits for illegals that were taken out in the big, beautiful bill. Now, we didn't support the big, beautiful bill here in Redacted. We thought that it also was full of all kinds of unnecessities, non-necessities. It will lead to increased debt in the United States. So this idea of a standalone bill, the reason they can't do it, obviously, is because they don't want to go to this protocol where we're only funding priorities. They want these idea of big stuff, bloated bills that are not good for the American people. They can't do it this way, right? If they do it this way, that sort of lets the horse out of the barn, wouldn't you say?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Also, you know, these food stamp programs and what they're being used to buy is not health food. I mean, you're seeing most of these people in these videos are morbidly obese.
Clearly.
I mean, so can we just
Well, we've known this for a long time. This is a long time debate, is the fact that SNAP that you're able to use it to buy junk food. And so you see, like, one of my favorite ex-users, Shipwreck, you know who she is.
Of course.
She talks a lot about how, you know, she has to deal with a tight budget. She has 3 kids, and she has to constantly figure out how to feed them food that will not spike their insulin and make them starving later in the day. So she doesn't use processed foods. She makes a lot of things on her own that will last longer, and she's not on SNAP. So when you see people on SNAP who are able to buy all the junk food for their kids, that again makes them even more hungry because of the glycemic spike, then she's like, I don't really have a ton of sympathy. If we were giving them things like cheese, milk, meat, things that would actually satiate these children and keep them healthy, then we wouldn't be on the hook for high medical bills in the United States that affect all of us. I also am, you know, it's hard to see people rooting for the destruction of the people around them. So if they're saying, well, we'll just steal, what that means is that everyone else who doesn't steal has to end up with higher grocery bills. And they don't care. There's no communal mindset here. That the same thing that, led these people to demand COVID relief money. We need this money. Even people who were furloughed, people who actually got a paycheck, they still accepted money. What did that lead to? The inflation that we warned about. You can rewind the clock. That studious people were saying this is going to lead for increased costs for everyone. And they don't care. How do we live in a society like that?
I don't know. The thing is, there are a lot of elderly people who rely on this. They're not buying just junk food. Yes, they're buying vegetables. They're buying meats. Not everyone is doing this, of course. Absolutely. But this program is rotten. It was supposed to help impoverished people. It was supposed to help people in poverty who are literally like skin and bones and starving. That's not what it's doing at all. And you're allowed to go and buy highly processed food, which obviously furthers the problem and puts people into a permanent state of the healthcare system where they're then having to go and get, statins and all sorts of medical problems as a result of the crappy food that they're allowed to eat on this program. So the program is a failure. Alex Jones had a really good idea the other day, which was, hey, we had one caller that called in and said, hey, what if we all, in order to support these people, regardless of race, I don't care if they're black, white, Asian, I don't care if you're starving. In America, we would never let anyone go hungry. Like, absolutely not. So you know what? Let's all flood these food banks. If you're a person of means and you have money, donate real food, real whole foods to food banks. Donate as much as you can so that no one should starve. No one should have a problem with it. You know what? It goes outside of the EBT system. It goes outside of the SNAP system, where it basically says, we don't need the SNAP system. We don't need the EBT system. Americans are going to support you. And you want to go get a delicious soup? You want to go get some chili? You want to go get a beef stew? You want to go get some whole foods and eat healthy? We will take care of you. We will do everything that we can to take care of you.
Right. I mean, this sort of, if we were able to, it's not like we can really go back to the drawing board here. It feels like maybe there's a hope that we could. That's not really going to happen. I mean, my whole politics is, should the government? Nope. The government should not do any of this. The government, this is not the government's responsibility. This should fall on communities. But, something rotten is going to happen. I don't know,
I'm really worried about what's going to happen here. Is Mike in? I know he was on his iPhone, but had some iPhone problems, I think. And usually iPhones work great. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, maybe we can circle back with Mike at another time. But anyway, let me know, you guys, what you guys think about all of this. And I like the idea. I like the idea of like flooding these food banks with food. Like, we're not going to let anyone starve. You want a fresh meal? America will take care of you. Churches will take care of you. You can go down the street to a food bank and have a fresh, healthy meal. Sorry, you're not going to be able to use these SNAP benefits and programs and get $4,000 and then sell them and then go buy alcohol or go get your hair done or get your feet done.
Mm-hmm. What were you going to say, Philip?
You'd think that grocery stores would catch on to the fact that rather than have groceries stolen with this, they should be donating to the food banks as well, so that people aren't starving. So then they can write it off and also not get robbed.
That's an idea. Yeah. But again, I want to circle back to this idea of standalone bills. This is a Republican ideal, and the GOP won't do it, right? So it tells you exactly how much of a uniparty we have, because Republicans talk a great game about bloated spending bills, government expansion, too much bloated bills, but they're putting it forward, even if it doesn't have the Medicaid that Democrats want. It's still got all kinds of other cruft. It's really only the gangsters, Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, who is saying they're all too awful. We need standalone bills. And it's the GOP who's saying, what? We don't do that. We only want our spending bill with all this spending. So they're full of it too. So yes, Democrats refuse to pass the bill that will at least get the government going. But Republicans, they're awful. They're just as awful.
They're awful, both parties, and they're playing politics. That's why they want to create a civil war. That's what I wanted to talk to Mike about today on the show, which is like they are fomenting a civil war, the politics behind all of this. So this is the issue, right, is that they are playing politics. It benefits Democrats because they get to say, look, there's a revolution, and Trump stopped providing food stamps for these people. The Republicans can say, no, Democrats were the ones that cut it off. And then all of these people will take to the streets and say, look, all of these people are furious that Donald Trump cut off their food stamps, when they're both to blame. in this mess, and they want this kind of discontent in the United States, and they want this civil war.
But imagine they actually did it. Put forward a standalone bill so that nobody starves. Fine. We'll think about how this program runs another day. No, we won't. We'll continue to let it be rotten. But then we can do other standalone bills. We can fund the TSA. Let's do that. Those people are screening for airport security. Let's fund air traffic control. Let's do that. Let's do, at the very least, the people who have to show up to work. Let's do this in standalone bills and get rid of this whole spending package bullshit. Get rid of it. This is something that real fiscally economic, responsible people have wanted for a long time. So yes, I'm for this. Let's do standalone bills. Get rid of the spending bill. They won't do it because they know where that would lead them, which means they'd actually have to do the work of only spending on reasonable things, and no party will do that. So F them both.
One Corinthians in our chat says both parties are on the same team and they're playing the public.
Word.
Yeah. Bucker Bill says, but Trump's not involved in any way, is he, Natalie?
What does Trump have to do with this, really?
I don't know. I mean, he's the president. He's pushing Republicans, but he's not involved in it. It's Congress. So, he can lean on members of Congress one way or the other. But anyway.
Look, we don't think Trump is blameless here. He's off spending on a ton of wars, right? And so, yes, it's frustrating that people will be hurting at home and there's money to bomb Venezuela. Sure. But this is about the politics of Congress and the fact that they could, in fact, pass single standalone bills. They won't do it because both sides are cowards and demons.
Why doesn't he, let's see, I got $40. Sorry. Princess Dumbarton says we can afford to pay for every Israeli to have free healthcare and free education.
Right.
And our old people are starving to death in poverty in the United States. Yeah, grocery stores donate tons every week to these food banks and so forth as well. Yeah, let us know your thoughts on that in the comments below. We've got a lot more news to get to here on your Wednesday. We're going to talk about the IDF admitting through its investigation that, of course, that there was an assassination of an American journalist. And the IDF has admitted to, IDF whistleblowers have admitted to a number of this, but internal U.S. investigations have now concluded that, yes, the IDF specifically targeted and assassinated an American journalist. And again, the Uniparty, where is any concern? If this happened in any other country, if it happened in Canada, if Canada killed an American journalist, can you imagine? If Britain killed an American journalist.
We freaked out that Russia held one that was doing espionage.
Right,
when Evan Gershwich was held, the Wall Street Journal, he was just held by Russia, and we all freaked out. But Israel kills one, a direct attack, targeted attack.
No problem, man.
Cool, that's fine.
Nothing to see here. No problem, man. All right, we got more news to get to here on your Wednesday. We will in a moment. But first, let's be clear. Cryptocurrency is no longer emerging. It is here. Look what the federal government is doing right now to enable it across the world. And this latest move cements that reality in a big way. Trump Media just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Yorkville Acquisition Corp and Crypto.com, the crypto platform trusted by millions of users worldwide. And they're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and the real-world perks like cashback on your spends to establish America's first CRO treasury. That's right. So you can find out all about it. If you want in on this action, want to learn more about everything, just head over to Crypto.com today, and let's make crypto great again. For more information on the proposed business combination, check out Yorkville Acquisition's public filings. You can check them all out. But go to Crypto.com and try it today if you're not already a member of Crypto.com.
Why did you pause it on that comment that says Natalie's looking rough? To hurt my feelings.
I didn't. Where do you see? I didn't even see that.
Natalie is looking rough.
Oh, Frito-Lay's says Natalie is looking rough.
Okay. I don't really like the puff sleeves. I shouldn't have worn it. I feel like it's too feminine.
Hey, Frito-Lay's, come over here and say that to my face.
Well, I think they just did.
All right, Frito-Lay's, come over here and I'll take care of you.
That's okay.
Don't talk about my wife like that. She looks lovely. I don't see what... I mean, there are some days I admit, maybe a little rougher than others, but... Not today. Not today.
I'm already self-conscious because I didn't realize this would be so puffy, and I don't like to wear super feminine things because it feels like such a masculine show. Anyway, I'm not fishing for compliments, but I take it because already, I just don't think this dress works.
Puffy shirt.
Yeah. That's okay. That's all right.
What else?
You win some, you lose some.
What are people saying over on Rumble? Good to see all of our Rumblers today. By the way, I know it's so funny. Like Natalie's name has no E at the end of it. Her mom, I don't know, for whatever reason, decided to add that extra. Take away the E. Take away the E. It's
just make it so I can't ever find it on a pencil.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, stop while you're ahead. Arma says.
This is marriage. This is 15 years of marriage. You got to keep it real.
Did you guys see that Nick
right.
Fuentes, Tucker Carlson interview? It was pretty interesting, wasn't it? At the very end, they talked all about, marriage and things like that. It was pretty funny. And I think there were some pretty big truths out of that. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, we will talk about that some other time. I'm not prepared to. None of it actually bothered me. It was absolutely masculine. But yeah, I think we should discuss it, but not right now.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling my feelings hurt about the puffy sleeves. I'm just kidding. Not really.
All right, let's talk about this then. This will get you fired up. Well, it is okay to assassinate American journalists only if Israel is the one doing it. If the IDF shoots an American journalist in the head, you won't hear a peep, of course, from the government class, the ruling class in Washington, D.C. You certainly won't hear about it from Lindsey Graham or Ambassador Mike Huckabee or any of these people, right? It's fine, totally fine. Not Democrats, not Republicans. It's okay to kill American journalists if it's Israel. If Canada did it, we'd have a big problem. If Britain did it, we'd have a big problem. We'd go to war with Brazil if they did it. Israel is totally fine. But there are some brave Americans out there. A now retired U.S. Army colonel has come forward, says he was put on this case specifically. Like this wasn't an independent journalism job. He was asked by his government to investigate it under the Biden administration, which is actually kind of shocking.
Well, we knew this because the forensic were sent to the United States.
Right.
The bullet was analyzed in America by a lab.
And then, of course, it was covered up. So now this colonel has to go on television and announce the cover-up, basically, by the United States government. This colonel found evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the Israeli Defense Forces intentionally assassinated American journalist Shireen Abu Akleh back in 2022. Despite the United States State Department's public conclusions that the shooting was accidental. Even though the U.S. government knew that it wasn't, they went forward and published that it was accidental. Here is that colonel.
So our initial assessment, I would have given the assessment probably about on the 19th or 20th after looking through everything in detail. And I passed this to both Ambassador Nides and Lieutenant General Fenzel, that my findings were beyond a reasonable doubt that this was an intentional killing of Shireen Abu Akleh.
This is on the 19th or 20th of May, 2022.
Yes.
This is within 10 days of her killing.
Yes.
You, on behalf of the United States government, are saying that beyond reasonable doubt, that's a legal standard in a criminal court.
Yes, it is.
She was intentionally killed.
Correct.
Not accidentally, not crossfire, not collateral damage.
Correct.
And what does he say?
So he said at that point in time that he had heard from General Fuchs the day that the incident happened.
This is an Israeli general?
An Israeli general. He was the Central Command commander. That General Fuchs came and told him that it was very possibly that an Israeli soldier had killed him, or had killed her, but that it was an accident, that it was a matter of tragic circumstances. But that was the story that he stuck to. He said, General Fuchs told me this, so I believe it was not intentional.
So the U.S. general takes the word of a foreign general over his own officer who he's sent to investigate.
That is correct.
How did you feel about that?
I felt very disappointed and upset about that, and I continued to try to convince him throughout for the next 2 years, honestly, as we continue to work on the investigation for it.
2-year investigation. Here's the proof, General. Here is that general, by the way. I don't give a shit how many medals he's got on his chest. In my opinion, this is traitorous behavior. I mean, you're literally, your own colonel you put in charge to investigate this is telling you what they found, and you're listening to a foreign general from a foreign government, and that's the narrative that you went with? Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Dave DeCamp is one of the chief bottle washers over at antiwar.com, one of the great journalists who covers this empire and this collapse of this empire very, very well. Dave, you guys were all over this story back a couple of years ago. I think you guys were leading a lot of the coverage on this back a couple of years ago. When you heard this revelation, what ran through your mind?
Well, I wasn't surprised because at the time in 2022, it was very clear that it was intentional. You know, she's standing there wearing a bright blue vest that says press on it when she's shot by an Israeli sniper. And the claim at the time was, oh, there was a clash going on. There were Palestinian fighters nearby. But it was very clear from the reports on the ground and investigations that media outlets did that there was no, firefight happening at the time, that she was just intentionally targeted and shot. What's surprising, I mean, is the cover up, just kind of how blatant it is. You know, we have, again, an American colonel, and this guy who's come out, he was a 30-year career military policeman. You know, it's not like he's some, whistleblower or something. I mean, he is, blowing the whistle here, but you know what I mean? Like, this is a career military guy.
He worked on the case. Like, this
yeah,
isn't,
exactly.
This isn't like you or me looking into it from outside. He was literally on the inside covering this and reporting on it and investigating it with the forensic evidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this stuff goes on a lot. Obviously, one thing he told the New York Times, he came out with his name to the New York Times, was that, while he was in this position, he was working at the U.S. Security Coordinator Office in Israel. He said, there was always favoritism toward the Israelis and never toward the Palestinians. And we see that today, even when American citizens go over there and get killed. We saw an American get killed by Israeli settlers this year. There's been no accountability for that. It just gets swept under the rug. And I mean, just how blatant this is. And if you actually look at the language, so this Israeli general told them, oh, it was unintentional, it was tragic circumstances. The statement put out by Biden's State Department used that exact same language, that it was tragic circumstances. So it just goes to show how they're taking the Israeli line all the way, even when an American, a very prominent journalist, I mean, Shireen Abu Akleh was very well known in the region. She came from a Christian Maronite Catholic family. And I remember seeing the crucifix on her coffin when the Israeli police were attacking her funeral procession and beating the people that were holding the coffin. I mean, I think things were different 3 years ago. I think if something like this happened now, they wouldn't be able to get away with it because there's so much more criticism over this U.S.-Israel special relationship.
So many. Can I just say, though, how many, are we up like 300 journalists now killed in this conflict?
Close to that. Yeah, over 250 in Gaza. I mean, it's
they are getting away with it. And it feels, at the time it was shocking. Now it doesn't feel shocking. So what do you mean they wouldn't be able to get away with it?
Well, you're right that they probably would get away with it. But I mean, now it's clear that public opinion on this issue is really shifting here in the U.S., especially among all sorts of people, but also on, the American right and kind of the Republican voter base. Obviously, we're not seeing that translate into the federal, government, into the administration, or even Republicans in Congress, with the exception of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who certainly is, the exception here. But I just think, these things are much more out in the open now, and it's much more obvious to everyone how the U.S. does just cover things up for Israel. And again, I don't think this is really going to translate to much change at the federal level for some time, but things are really changing now when it comes to American public opinion.
At the time, there was celebrity outrage, at least from people who had some kind of creed. I know, who is the Incredible Hulk who talks all kind of nonsense about climate? Mark Ruffalo.
Or Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. He at least was that caliber of celebrity, had a lot to say about it. So I don't know. The part of it that made me so uncomfortable was that the bullet was sent to what the United States called a third-party investigator that was overseen by the United States, which tells us that the United States was complicit in covering up the forensics as well. And they sort of shrugged. The Biden administration was like, well, it was third party. But it wasn't, because it was overseen by the State Department, which should make us so uncomfortable with how complicit we were in helping Israel to craft this narrative, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing, it does make me very uncomfortable too. Again, just the fact that they knew that this woman was intentionally killed, and they lied about it for a foreign government, for a foreign country.
Well, and nothing's happening now. Like, we have this colonel who's come out. He admits that his general, this guy I put up on the screen, this guy Fenzel, there he is, Michael Fenzel. He knew the truth and he lied about it. He lied about it. And I know there's corrupt generals. I mean, I know Pete Hegseth has talked about getting a lot of these corrupt generals out of there. To me, that's like traitorous behavior, though. Like, you have one of your own colonels in the United States Army telling you through their investigation, here's what we found. This was intentional. And he hides it and listens to a foreign country's general cover this up. To me, I don't know how else to read it. How do you read that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I view it. But unfortunately, I mean, I would say too, even with Pete Hegseth, that a lot of our senior military leaders and government leaders are loyal to Israel.
Oh yeah,
that would be willing to be complicit in this. So I don't think this is something that, you know, Hegseth is going to make this general's head roll because of this revelation. Yeah,
no way. They're all. I mean, again, I think this is why Matt Gaetz is not the Attorney General of the United States, right? I mean, the one person that spoke out against Israel and was vocal about it suddenly not the Attorney General.
Yeah, he's been having me on his show like every week now too.
Wow.
I know. He's like such a surprise, isn't he?
I don't think he's a surprise. I think that's why he wasn't chosen. I mean, I think this was a problem. You heard the outcry, right? I mean, when he was chosen as Attorney General, I mean, there was an outcry.
Yeah, there definitely was. And now they're really not less happy with him than they were back then because of how kind of outspoken he's been about, you know, it started really with the war with Iran and just in general now, U.S. support for Israel and the atrocities in Gaza and everything.
Well, and he was very outspoken against Yemen. Like, why are Americans in Yemen? Like, can we vote against this, please? Like, he brought that to the floor. Syria, like,
he was introducing bills to pull out of these places when he was in Congress.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I guess when Shireen Abu Akleh was targeted and assassinated, I'm comfortable saying that, it was a small problem, a small public relations problem for Israel at the time because of the gravitas of, say, the Incredible Hulk, whose name, I don't know why I can't.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, say it today. But now this is a much bigger problem. They can't just sort of look away from the Mark Ruffalos of the world. So maybe we find that some kind of comfort in that, like, it wasn't in vain. Now that outrage has only grown against Israel. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has. And maybe I'm being a little too positive here. You know, I said that they wouldn't be able to get away with it today, but unfortunately they probably would. But I really think things are really changing. And we're kind of seeing the Israelis are recognizing that, especially Netanyahu. It almost seems like I think this is something to keep in mind as things move forward when it comes to this Gaza so-called ceasefire, which is just a complete joke at this point, is that, you know, Netanyahu might see that this Trump administration is like his last shot to really be able to do like whatever he wants in the region. Yeah. Because, I mean, you look at the polling. I mean, again, this hasn't translated. The Democrats are going to have to face this. You look at the polling among Democratic voters, you know, none of them want anything to do with Israel. It seems like the majority of Republicans maybe still support Israel, but that is changing rapidly, especially among young people. But when it comes to Democrats, I mean, if there's a Democrat in power, they're going to have to reckon with this, even though I guess Biden and Harris didn't really at all. So maybe I'm being too optimistic again. But I don't know. I do feel like things are really changing.
Yeah. On your X feed, you've been posting photos of the children that have been killed just since the so-called ceasefire.
Well, can I ask you this? I want to ask you about the children, because someone in the chat room, when we started the show, we talked about how there was those IDF whistleblowers and others who've admitted to targeting children. I mean, snipers shooting them in the head.
Oh, they call it target practice.
Target practice. And someone in our chat room says, stop spreading lies. They're not shooting children. I mean, I think this person was new, maybe didn't understand, or hasn't read any books about it, really is unstudied about it. But can you, to this person who says they're not shooting children, what do you say? What's your reporting say on that?
Well, some of the accounts, well, not some of the accounts, all the accounts that we've seen of American healthcare workers, doctors and nurses that have gone to volunteer in Gaza hospitals, they've come back and all of them have said that they've treated or seen children with gunshot wounds to the head and to the chest on a regular basis. Some of them went there. I remember this was back in 2024 for about 2 weeks, and they came back and said every day They were treating children with these wounds or seeing dead children with these wounds. And as you mentioned, we've seen reporting from Israeli media, Israeli soldiers coming out and admitting to shooting children. Just recently, there was a report in Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, where an Israeli sniper said that basically his day was that they go up, they're in northern Gaza, they set up, Palestinians come to wait for aid, and they basically decide that, okay, if they cross that line, then they get killed. And the Palestinians have no way to know it. And this soldier said that he killed many civilians doing that, including children. So we see account after account. And that's just shooting. And I mean, when it comes to the airstrikes, I mean, there's no denying that they've been killing lots of children in the airstrikes. For 2 years, we've seen pictures of children ripped apart. So people just can't seriously deny that. And people question the numbers put out by Gaza's health ministry, but there's been several studies that have concluded the numbers are actually likely a significant undercount. And they have actually put out lists of the names of people killed, all the identities that they've confirmed. And they've listed nearly 1,000 children under the age of 1 who didn't reach their first birthday. And they also released their identity number, which includes an Israeli identity number. That so these lists could be debunked if Israel wanted to try, if they were false. So there's just so much evidence that there has been a mass killing, slaughter of children, and we saw it again overnight with these latest Israeli airstrikes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this person probably just was uneducated, maybe.
Or a bot.
Or a bot. Yeah, we get a lot of bots too. So, but maybe just this is new to them. And like, that can't be true. That can't be true. Really? It is true. And that's why this is so outrageous. And no one will cover it. I mean, independent news organizations like yours at antiwar.com and ours, but it gets whitewashed and covered up. Dave, thank you so much for this. And thank you for pulling the rug back on these horrible stories. I think people need to be aware of these, and Americans need to be, calling their politicians and saying, we want accountability from our government. When an American journalist gets killed in a foreign land, there should be outrage and demand a full investigation and transparency, not covering it up for a foreign country, for crying out loud. Dave, great to see you as always.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me again.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dave.
One of my favorite journalists, absolutely bipartisan and committed to the American people and anti-war. So follow him on X, follow anti-war, follow Scott Horton. This is our platform. We're not effing around about it. We mean it. And we're going to talk about the things that are uncomfortable, such as our own complicity in those awful images that you just saw. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I love my country. I abhor our government and the complicity in killing innocent people. Absolutely. So you can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can love your country. You can love the founding principles. I just got finished reading a book on the Revolutionary War. You can love your country, but absolutely be furious at how they act and want accountability and change in your government. All right, coming up on the show, we're going to talk about Bill Gates. He wants to vaccinate your meat. Will you let him? Will you let Bill Gates and his dad bod come over to your house and vaccinate your meat? We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, if you've been seriously injured, your case could be worth millions, and you should know exactly what your rights are. That's why I want to tell you about Morgan & Morgan. They're America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys working in all 50 states. And unlike a lot of firms that settle quickly, Morgan & Morgan doesn't take lowball offers from insurance companies. Just in the past few months, they won $12 million in Florida when the insurance company offered only $350,000. And in New York, they secured $6.8 million on a case where the offer was just $275,000. And the best part? It's absolutely free unless you win. Insurance companies try to pay out as little as possible. Morgan & Morgan fights to get you more if you become their client. It only takes a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you can do it right from your phone. It's that easy. You can visit forthepeople.com/redacted, or you can click the link in the description to get started.
Okay. Well, Bill Gates wants to give cows vaccines to produce less methane, and he's framing this as his new moderate take on climate change. So remember when Bill Gates warned that climate change would be humanity's greatest threat, the hardest challenge we'll ever face as human beings, he said. Well, he doesn't believe that anymore, he says, after scaring the crap out of people and the media letting him do it unchecked. Now he's here to say this on his personal blog. This is the title. He calls it 3 Truths. The truths he's about to drop on us are things that serious climate researchers have been saying for years, and he has spent money to bury in the media. But okay, he's come around. It's not catastrophe anymore. You don't have to have climate anxiety. You'll see why he's doing this in a minute, but I'm going to spoil it for you. He wants to sell livestock vaccines and additives to their food in order to get you to eat meat again because he can make money off of it. Here's truth number 1. He says climate change is a serious problem, but will not be the end of civilization. You guys, calm down. That's not what he was saying just 4 years ago. Remember this 60 Minutes piece? I can't play it for you because 60 Minutes always gives us a copyright strike. But what he told Anderson Cooper was that this will be the toughest challenge humanity has ever faced. Absolutely. He said he told Anderson Cooper he wanted to change everything in the physical world. So they sat in a hamburger shop and he was like, yeah, I'm going to change the way your food is served, the way the furniture is, the way we water plants, the way we use tractors. Like literally, I want to change everything. See him here laughing like, yeah, I want everything. I want to take everything you know and love and change everything for climate change. That's literally what he said. Now he thinks, well, that's, not really necessary. He said we needed to do that if we're going to get to 0. And again, I have this screenshot for you proving that he said it. Yeah, I'm going to change your whole world. Unelected, but he gave himself the power to do it. What do you want to say?
A long story in our chat room says Gates is no longer relevant. He needs to go away. Long story. I agree with you. He needs to go away, but he's more relevant than ever. He was just at the freaking White House.
Yeah.
Like he literally had a secret meeting with President Trump, and then he came back like 2 weeks later for another meeting at the White House. Like he's not irrelevant at all.
Well, look what he watch the end of this segment and see what he has planned for your meat, and then tell me if he's irrelevant. So now what I just showed you is him on 60 Minutes saying we need to get to 0, net 0, no emissions, full stop. Okay. Now he says that's not really the best idea. Now he thinks that human health and prosperity are better goals for climate change. He wrote this as truth number 3. Way to catch up, Bill Gates. This is what people have been saying for decades if you hadn't been burying their research. For instance, this was a major part of Bjorn Lomborg's great book, False Alarm. He wrote that back in 2000. He was not even the first to say it. What he specifically was saying is that serious climate researchers know that prosperity is the best climate policy because when countries get richer, they use better farming techniques, fewer single-use items, families use better ventilated cooking methods. When farming is produced at scale, it is far less wasteful. Now let's talk specifically about meat because climate activists like to say that meat is responsible for 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, which is total crap. Pun intended, because that is a global average, meaning it takes into account well-run agriculture like we have in the United States and in the UK, and it lumps it together with third world countries who have far more wasteful systems because they have not progressed to better systems yet. In the US, beef production is only responsible for 2.2% of emissions, according to the EPA. Why? Because in the US, we get more efficient every year. In fact, beef emissions have been cut by 30% since the 70s because of innovation or prosperity. So Bill Gates, you're right. This has been available to know for decades. You just didn't bother to. But Bill Gates is now saying that livestock can be fixed with innovation if, here's how he puts it, we give them additives to feed the cattle to keep them from producing methane or vaccines. Now he gives us this little clue of how he wants this to happen. See those 2 little hyperlinks there? Okay, one of them is for vaccines. The vaccines for cows is made by a company called Archaea Bio. And yeah, that's exactly what they do is they give these cows vaccines so that they produce less methane in their farts and their poops and their burps and things like that. Who funds this company? Any guesses?
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation?
Absolutely, that's the case. Take a look at this. This company is, in fact, funded by Bill Gates. The additives that he talks about, this is something you'd give livestock They eat it in their feed, and they say that then they would produce less methane. It's a synthetic version of a compound that's found in seaweed. It's added to the cow's feed to suppress methane producing microbes in their stomach. Who funds it? Bueller?
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation?
Yes, Bill Gates.
Oh, okay.
Bill Gates funds this as well. Absolutely, he's right. So he's saying, yeah, you can eat the meat because I'm going to mess with the meat from the production area. So then we don't have to worry about methane. So yes, friend of Epstein, Bill Gates, is the one who funds these solutions, he says. So, and again, methane, the discussion of methane is crap, pun intended, for two reasons. One, most atmospheric methane is actually naturally removed by the atmosphere and soil. Roughly, and number two, roughly half of global methane emissions come from natural sources like wetlands, volcano. Some of it comes from fossil fuel production. A lot of it comes from the landfill. Like when you throw away a banana, it produces methane. Only 15% of methane emissions come from livestock. So it's barely worth talking about. But still, he thinks it's enough to mess with our food system. Now, Gates is still big on getting methane out of agricultural farming. So he assumes that you don't know any better. You're like, oh, yeah, that's a problem. Okay, cow burps. It's really ruining my life. So is it any wonder that he's saying now we can eat meat, it's fine, as long as I am able to get in there and vaccinate them and put this stuff in their feed in order to lower the methane. We just have to eat, we can eat it. He just has to mess with it first. That's why he's changed his position, whereas once he was very big on plant-based meats. Now he realizes that most self-respecting humans won't eat that. So he's changed his tune to a profit model that he can manipulate the meat first. He's also dropping the whole idea of global warming. Now he's saying that temperature is not the best way to measure progress. Again, no duh. Most of us who have read seriously about the climate have known that the climate does fluctuate by 2 degrees Celsius both ways. We have studied the Roman climactic era, where the Earth was more than 2 degrees hotter, had nothing to do with human-caused global warming. We know that this happens naturally. We're cool with it. Way to catch up, Bill Gates. Glad you got the memo. And again, this research was available in 2021 when Bill Gates was telling 60 Minutes that rising temperature was catastrophic, according to his own words. The media just let him say this. They did not bother to study. Again, we've shown you all kinds of data showing that most media coverage, mainstream media coverage of Bill Gates is favorable. Why do you think that is? Could it be profit driven? So now, instead of saving the planet, that was his narrative, now he's sort of rebranding climate change as human optimism. And, who gets to optimize those humans? Him, of course. Now, Clayton, I want to ask you, now that I've shown you what he's doing, do you know any politician that wants to stop him? Anybody? Anybody trying to not let him do this?
I'm going to guess Massey.
Thomas Massey?
Maybe. I'm coming up zero. I don't know specifically that Massey has said much about this. What I'm pointing out to you is that it seems like everyone's going to let him. And how will you know that you get meat that's been given these vaccines?
I don't think it. Well, not. Yeah,
I literally don't know. I could have looked it up. I just wanted to make the point that it doesn't seem to be a priority in U.S. government to make him stop.
Let's ask Mike Adams. Mike Adams, the health ranger, is here. He runs naturalnews.com. Mike knows all about this stuff. I'm going to have Mike here to talk about another subject in just a second. But hey, Mike is here. We managed to get him on. Glad to have him here. And before Natalie has to jump out. So, Mike, great to see you finally on the show. Been waiting to have you on for years. So great to have you here.
Well, it's great to join you. I'm a big fan of the show. And as it happens this week, I'm moving my studio. So this is my backup. I apologize for the technical issues. But you know what that's like when you move. Oh, yeah. So here we are.
No worries. Yeah, new media. Don't worry about it. So before we get into the topic I want to talk to you about today on the food program and the food stamps, just real quick before Natalie has to jump out of here, are there any politicians trying to fight against this tyranny, the Bill Gates tyranny, showing up at the White House at all and pushing for this agenda?
Well, I think Thomas Massey is probably your best candidate there because, he grows a lot of his own food and he's got the courage to speak out against establishment moves like that. But, the bottom line is we're all going to have to source our food more locally from farmers that we know and trust. So you can see the cattle in the field. You could ask them, what are they being treated with? What are they being vaccinated with, if anything? We don't want our food modified in this way, but food is a vector of bioweapons introduction. And that's, you could do a whole show on that topic alone.
I do want to ask you, so let's move and talk about food stamps now. So this battle, you've been covering it on your show, seems to be unfolding where we've got about 2 days left before we're going to see something happen. I don't know what. I don't know if there's going to be massive civil unrest, some sort of a civil war, people freaking out, robbing people, looting stores, trying to get groceries because the food stamps program under the government shutdown shuts down on November 1st, the SNAP program. Before we get into like the politics of it all, Mike, I thought this program was it was initially started to really help people. It was to help people who were impoverished, who didn't have food, who were starving. But this thing hasn't really lived up to that at all. Where did this thing run afoul?
Well, I think when it also became corporate welfare for the processed food manufacturers who greatly benefit from this program. I mean, it's shameful as a culture that 1 in 8 Americans have to have their food paid for by somebody else in the country. That's a runaway problem by itself. But think about how the retailers, even Walmart, benefits from this. The banks benefit from the commerce transaction fees, and then the processed food companies benefit. And think about the long-term costs of this, because these processed foods, in my opinion, as a nutritionist and a food scientist, they contribute to long-term chronic degenerative disease, which raises healthcare costs in the long run. So we're paying people to eat food that will cause diseases that we then have to pay for later on down the road. That is a cycle into despair and disease, and we've got to stop that one way or another.
Now, when we did this story earlier in the show, I was saying a lot of these people will use the food stamp program and sell their food stamps. This is verified. People will sell their food stamps, and then they get the cash and they go and buy alcohol. They go get their hair done. They go, this has happened. This is well documented. This isn't like a new phenomenon. And then some people in the chat say not everyone does that. A lot of us need it, and we actually buy healthy food. So, it's not a black and white issue, is it?
No, it's not. And we do want to have compassion for our fellow Americans who need temporary help. What we don't want to create is long-term multi-generational dependence on a system that's actually promoting chronic disease and poverty. And so I agree with the Trump administration requiring some level of work, I think 20 hours a week or so, for people to continue to qualify in some states for the food stamp benefits. But I don't think it should be a long-term permanent program. And ultimately, by the way, we need to restrict it on junk foods. We need to say to people, hey, if you want our help buying food, that's fine, but you're going to need to buy more healthy ingredients. You're going to need to cook at home. You probably have time to cook since you're probably not working. So you could cook healthier foods, and then we need to teach them how to do that. And with AI today and our engine and other engines out there's so much great information about how people can make healthier food choices at home. You don't need to go to your doctor to tell you how to eat healthy. You can look it up with an AI engine. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, like this afternoon, I'm making a roast chicken on my grill. I've only done it once before. I kind of screwed it up, but I'm just using the internet to figure out how to do it properly on the rotisserie, how to get the right spice rub on it, how to put the proper butter. I wanted to kind of create like a Portuguese style, like piri-piri chicken. Like I want to do it. So I'm using the computer to figure that out. I don't have like, Gordon Ramsay showing up at my house and I have to pay him thousands of dollars. Like I can just use AI to figure this out.
The great thing about AI is it represents mass decentralization of knowledge that now bypasses censorship. And so people are moving away from Wikipedia, moving over to Grokkipedia, which was built by AI. And Grokkipedia, it's an outstanding achievement. It's profound, actually. People are moving away from Google searches and using either local AI searches or open source models to get information and knowledge. And actually, the answers are better. Because in my opinion, Google is a disinformation engine that's designed to cause ignorance and to dissociate humanity from knowledge. That's my opinion, but there are way better sources of knowledge and information out there, including Grokkipedia.
Yeah, I know you've been really a big champion of Grokkipedia, and I love to me, Wikipedia is one of the worst websites in the world, and I'm so excited that there's now an alternative that can operate this way for people. That's so exciting.
I literally mentioned 9/11 in my video one time, and there's a Wikipedia thing on my YouTube video right today.
Yeah, it'll have a little Wikipedia disclaimer at the bottom of your video. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and look, I hope you don't mind, but even our own AI engine was trained on some of your interviews that were curated and selected because of the people you interviewed, mostly on geopolitics, Colonel McGregor and others like that. But you see, we no longer need permission from big tech in order to speak to each other and to encapsulate human knowledge and to share it for free. So this is a revolution, actually. This reminds me of the early days of the internet. Before all the massive censorship took place, you could post almost anything. And that's the way it is with AI right now. We need to protect that because freedom of speech is what's going to help America turn around, if we do it at all.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Back to before I get you out of here, Mike, I want to be respectful of your time today, but on the politics of the food stamps piece here, who benefits now? Because Republicans or Democrats today are holding a big press conference, Bernie Sanders out there blowing his mouth about how Donald Trump is trying to take away your food stamps, and this is going to, then you have Republicans who seem to be excited about it. So it seems like the Uniparty is kind of in lockstep here, that this is some sort of a deep state program to create some sort of a revolution or civil war, and it's going to benefit whom? I just want to understand the machinations of this.
Well, the way I see it, both parties benefit in different ways. And by the way, I always have time to join your show. It's just an honor to be here. But to answer your question, Democrats benefit because they want a mass uprising that is very emotional, that seems urgent, people screaming that they're starving, and they have to, in their minds, defeat Trump in order to be able to eat again. That's how it's going to be portrayed. The Republicans, or the Trump administration, I believe, can, in essence, use this emergency to further station federal troops to do things like protect grocery stores, which some of them may be looted or burned. And this, I think, is a medium-term strategy to position federal troops in time for the midterm elections in order to help prevent massive Democrat cheating in the midterms. Because if they can be prevented from cheating, then they cannot win in elections, period. We know they cheated in 2020. We know they cheat in all the midterms. But with a federal presence, then perhaps you could have either the National Guard or other federal troops of sorts actually do the ballot counting or the surveillance of the ballot counting with more transparency. So I think that Trump realizes you have to shut down the Democrat cheating. And if this is a way into that scenario, then, so be it. But we'll see. We'll see.
And Democrats love the idea of people taking to the streets and saying, down with President Trump. He's taking away your food stamps. And there's a revolution in this country. And this is the party that kept you from getting food, right?
Right. That's what they want to say, which is absurd, of course. I mean, it's the Democrats that destroy economies, that do not understand finance or economics or how anything works. Democrat policies is what has thrust people into poverty and desperation. Although, of course, both parties continue to spend and spend and spend, and that does destroy the value of the dollar. But at least if we had more of a meritocracy free market system, more people could lift themselves up out of poverty and be able to afford to eat.
The great Mike Adams, founder of Brighton.ai, founder of naturalnews.com. You can follow him as the Health Ranger on X. I love his content. I think Mike is one of the bravest people in this business, in journalism, and covering these topics. Really, really thank you for that. Unafraid. That's what I love about Mike. So, Mike, thank you so much for jumping in and talking with us. We'd love to have you back anytime. Thanks, Mike.
Love to join you. Have a great day.
I appreciate it. I hope you guys watch his show. I hope you check out naturalnews.com. You can see everything over there. Mike is very prolific on X as well. Great guy. Great thinker. We need more of him. All right. Coming up here on the show, we are going to talk about ICE and why has that been such a failure? Like everyone got excited about illegal immigration. Like ICE is going to step up. They're going to hire 100,000, 150,000 individuals to round up all these violent criminals and all of that. But it hasn't exactly gone the way that they had hoped, right? You're seeing all these like fisticuffs and fights with ICE agents, and they're not looking like they know what they're doing. And that's the reason why the Trump administration is making some major changes, because the Trump administration knows that it's not working. The Trump administration is making a huge change, and they are now bringing in the Border Patrol, who on a regular basis have to get in fights and arrest people in the streets. They know what this is like. Did you know that, by the way, that ICE is made up of mostly lawyers? They don't know anything about arresting people and going after violent criminals. It's been a great canard in this whole thing. But someone who's been telling us from the very beginning, when Tom Homan was put in charge of this, hey, I love Tom Homan, amazing, but I want you to understand that there's huge problems with this process. You only have 6,000 ICE agents. How are you going to round up 50 million illegal violent criminals across the United States? How's that going to happen exactly? Well, it turns out our next guest was correct about that. And we're going to talk to J.J. Carroll about the new move to bring in the Customs and Border Patrol to actually go and start making these big-time arrests with some new shakeups. This is all coming from Stephen Miller in the Trump administration. So some big changes coming. This is a seismic shift that you're about to see in this country. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, Comet is here. We were just talking about AI. What is Comet? Well, Comet is a new AI-powered web browser from Perplexity. I've been using this thing. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's amazing. It really is. Like, if a lot of you guys are still using like Google Chrome, oh my God, throw that thing out. Perplexity.ai and download their Comet browser. Comet can navigate around the web like a human being would, clicking, typing, searching, scrolling, just like you would, getting what you need done so you can do more. Hey, like, do you need to book a flight for your family for an upcoming trip? Okay, here's what I want you to do, web, Perplexity, Comet. Go there and actually figure out the best flight options. Then I want you to book them for me. I don't want to leave too early in the morning. I want to go out in the afternoon after the kids get out of school. All of this. I want to sit in an aisle seat. I don't want to sit in the middle. All of it. Hey, check my stock portfolio. Give me some recommendations on this based on my portfolio. Have a YouTube video that you need analyzed. Have all of it. I'm just telling you, there's so many things that you can do with Comet. Just try it. Try it in real time. It's unbelievable. And you can see so many different tips. I mean, summarize something for me, pull up something for me, go and search for this video for me and find it on YouTube somehow, dig for it. I can't find it anymore. All of it. You can automate everything, all these repetitive tasks that you do on a regular basis. Yeah. Hey, go through all of my email and like delete all of the spam for me so I don't have to see any of it. It really is pretty great. So, I mean, how much time do you spend every day on web browsers? How much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing endless tabs? It's a lot of time. So Perplexity, their new web browser from Comet that's AI powered, completely changes it. Go there right now and try it. pplx.ai/redacted. You have to use that URL. Just download it and give it a try. That's pplx.ai/redacted. And by the way, when you do, you get a free month of Rumble Premium for free. Again, pplx.ai/redacted. Well, if you thought the amount of illegal immigrants and illegal violent criminals in the United States, the arrests haven't been sufficient, you're probably right. And the Trump administration is in many ways admitting that they need to change course. And how are they going to change course?
I think my internet's
major
fixed.
shakeup with ICE. And how is all of this going to come to pass? We wanted to ask J.J. Carroll, who spent 24 years, the Customs and Border Patrol, as a supervisor and an expert in this area. And this is going to involve the Customs and Border Patrol. He's also the author of the great book called Treason. If you want to understand how the Biden administration sold out this country and their strategic and malicious destruction of America's sovereignty, you need to read this book because it didn't just happen by chance. It was systemic. And now President Trump has to unwind all of this mess. And JJ is back on the show today to talk about all of this. So JJ, thank you for alerting me to this because I missed this story. But this is a major shakeup at ICE. And this is going to involve your old group at the Customs and Border Patrol. Can you talk about how this is all going to come to pass?
Well, Donald Trump has just had it with the lack of deportation. So when you look at the numbers, and the numbers are all over the place, right? So we're looking at 2 million self-deports and then 500,000 arrests and deports, and then people have done FOIA requests and they said, well, actually that 500,000 number is about 150,000. So nobody really knows. But what we all agree on is there's not enough arrests and deportations. And Donald Trump knows that. And his White House advisor, Stephen Miller, is, I think, and what from just piecing the puzzle together, he is the voice that is pounding the drum saying this is not enough. And I should say
you said this right at the outset. Like, we love President Trump, all of this, right? You were a huge supporter of President Trump for closing the border. But right at the very beginning, You were saying to me on this show, it's not enough, Clayton. Like, they're going to go out there with these ICE agents. It's not enough. They have to do something dramatic. And I think you were hitting the nail on the head. Do you think that this is that dramatic moment? Which I cut you off. Sorry, I interrupted you. But I wanted to point out that you were saying this many, many months ago.
Well, you and I have had this discussion. I've written articles about it. I wrote in my book what needs to happen, and what needs to happen is not happening. I'm a huge fan of Tom Homan. Tom Homan is a wrecking ball, and I love how he is direct and he just does what he needs to do. I love him. However, I have said from the very beginning, thank you for acknowledging it, that this is not going to work. Why is this not going to work? Because I want your audience to understand when the media throws out the term ICE, we think of guys that are wearing bulletproof vests with police ICE on the back, HSI, and they're running around making arrests. That's not what ICE is. ICE is broken up into multiple departments, so a lot of lawyers, but the enforcement arm is the Homeland Security Investigators, HSI, that they do, if I think of long-term investigations, right? Not street arrests, long-term. Then you got the ERO, which is the Enforcement Removal Operations. And under the ERO, you have DOs called deportation officers. Those guys are working jails. They're doing deportation flights. They are not doing street arrest. Now, there are fugitive ops, but even the fugitive ops that have many of my friends in those are case file by case file. So I want you to imagine there's 50 million illegal aliens in America, 6,000, quote, ICE officers that are broken up into HSI investigators and DOs that now have to go case by case to arrest 50 million people. That's why I've said from the very beginning, this makes no sense to me. This is never going to work. And the idea, I want your audience to understand, you're taking long-term investigators and then deportation officers that have never made street arrest, and then you place them in Chicago, New York, LA, Phoenix, San Diego, and that's why you're seeing all these officers fighting day in and day out and can't make arrests that are simple. For me, is simple. Because they've never done it before, Clayton, they were put in a very, very bad position. And Donald Trump, through Stephen Miller, I believe, has acknowledged that. And they're making this switch to Border Patrol agents taking over those day-to-day operations. And that is what needs to happen. It needs to happen immediately.
So, as you pointed out, I think Bill Malugin first broke this story a couple of days ago. Can you walk us through now? So now, Customs and Border Patrol, they're going to be actively involved in this. They're going to be doing what, reading your first book, for crying out loud, you're talking about racing after guys on on ATVs, tackling guys. These guys at ICE have had no experience in that. That's what you guys have been doing for a living. So how is the CBP going to be involved in this directly?
Well, the Border Patrol is going to be directly involved because Chief Bovino, he is the chief of El Centro sector in California, has been elevated to a position of authority and power. And now he is going into LA, et cetera, and making and Chicago and making very strong statements and arrest. And you are now, the word on the street is Bovino is going to handpick his guys to put into positions in 12 strategic locations across America, major cities where there's a large population of illegal aliens. And I want your audience to understand, there is going to be a seismic shift in the way this is done. If Bovino handpicks his guys to go in and be the leaders, you're going to see a level of use of force that people don't understand, because Border Patrol agents live in a very dark, violent, dangerous world on the border. Everybody looks at the pictures and sees people hanging out under a bridge. That's not what it's like. It's ultra violent, like inner city war zone violence. And Border Patrol agents don't react like little girls. They act and react immediately, decisively, and they will use a level of force to make the arrest. And I'll give you a great example. Go look at Chief Bovino walking through Chicago and listen to him tell people, get out of my way or I'm going to arrest you. Get out of my way or I'm going to arrest you. And everyone like partying the Red Sea. Why? Because even though those moronic protesters and activists have no idea what an ICE agent is or Border Patrol agent is, they see the Border Patrol emblem and they're watching the actions of those agents and they're saying in their brain, they're making that determination, those guys are different. I want nothing to do with them. And that's what's going to happen across America. Now, I'm going to put this caveat there, and I've said this to you on your show many times in the past. Donald Trump must put the military attached, not National Guard. I'm talking the Marines. I'm talking the Army. I'm talking Special Forces to create perimeters so these agents can do their job without getting shot, rammed, boxed in, punched, and they have to be able to have an apparatus when they begin to make hundreds, if not thousands of arrests a day of how do you move these people and move them into deportation proceedings and then deport them immediately. But it has to be the military.
Does Bovino feel the same way about that? Like, have you heard him say that he needs the military and military assistance?
I have not heard Chief Bovino say that because he doesn't come out that much and talk about strategy. But everyone in, like, I just got off the phone with a guy that's in this world of podcasting that is a former Border Patrol agent, and he and I were talking, and we're in agreement. This is a national security issue. If it is, and it is, and Donald Trump has stated it repeatedly, then we have got to start acting like it. Like I just said, 6,000, quote, ICE officers have to arrest 50 million. Case by case, Clayton, that's absurd, right? Anyone on the face of it will look at it and go, well, just if they're absolutely the greatest agents in the world, day in and day out, take no days off, well, it'll take about 150 years for these guys to get these people, right? I mean, it's absurd. So I don't know how Trump was sold on this strategy. I don't know. But I will say this about Trump. Trump is someone that course corrects, and he's making a course correction right now. And because he's been able to shut the border down, the border is completely closed. He needs to continue to secure it with military. But now it's time to release the Border Patrol agents from the front lines into the interior of America.
So I just have some strategy questions here. So Bovino will be underneath Tom Homan, technically? Will he operate under Tom Homan?
I think that's a great question. I don't know. I'm hearing from Bill Malugin and then I'm seeing all of the people in my world in Border Patrol are saying, no, Chief Bovino has been elevated and he's going to handpick his people. So that I don't know how Chief Bovino is in the organizational chart, right? Yeah. I think they plucked him and put him like over here in the organizational chart all by himself. That's how I'm envisioning this to happen if he's going to handpick. And one thing that I will say about Chief Bovino, he was one of the, quote, rogue chiefs that would not follow Mayorkas and Biden. In fact, he got jammed up pretty hard on that. And he is one of the very, very few Border Patrol leaders that did not participate in the treason that Joe Biden and Mayorkas handed down. There are still people in the United States Border Patrol hierarchy that were helping, facilitating, and strategically creating apparatuses to illegally bring illegal aliens into America. Border Patrol chiefs were doing that. So at the same time Bovino's doing that, there needs to be a house cleaning of these people. And I know several of them, and they're vile. They need to be removed.
Man, you got to put that out on social media because, I mean, that's what friend of the show, Kyle Seraphin, has been doing, FBI whistleblower, about the rot inside the FBI. And these people who were still inside the FBI, and when they've been getting called out, they've been getting fired. Because I don't think there's a massive rot that these guys are having to navigate through. And that's my concern. I think you just made that point very clear. You know, Bovino comes in there, but then he's got people that are going to be working against him. That's my biggest fear.
Yeah, that's why he's going to handpick. But and also the rot is so deep in ICE. People don't know this. You have the lawyers run ICE. Well, you look at the organizational chart of ICE and see all of the cutouts. You have massive amounts of civil rights attorneys, lawyers. So I'll give your audience just an example. and I ran these guys. These ICE agents would work under me, and I would have to take over how they worked because it was so inefficient. They would have a case file, and they would see their subject get in a van and drive away. They would stop the van. I mean, this is beyond anything you can imagine. They would stop the van, identify their subject. Okay, you're Juan so-and-so from Ecuador. Okay, you're under arrest. And I would sit there and I would go, whoa, time out. There's 10 more people in this van. Are you, and I'm looking at them, they're all illegal. And they go, no, we're not, our lawyer says we're not allowed to arrest anyone except the person on the case file. That is the world of ICE, okay? And in Border Patrol world, we go, hey, everyone, put your hands on your head, you're all arrested. We rip them out of the van, and then we seize the van, and then we move on to something else. But under ICE and the attorneys, this historical way they do things, they leave the other 9 people to just drive away. This is the world that we're living. This is the rot that we're talking about that is in federal law enforcement. Just because Trump came in, it wasn't snap your fingers and everybody snap to and they're good soldiers. No, that's not true. That's not, and Kyle Serafin's talking about the FBI. FBI's rotted to the core. Whatever happened to get rid of the FBI? I would love to ask Kash Patel that question. But there needs to be a cleansing, right? And why I get passionate about this is because I know what needs to happen, and I'm watching it just deteriorate. And if we don't go all in, and I mean, when I mean all in, I'm talking about a use of force to crush the adversary, what the adversaries, the Democrats, the activists, and the illegal aliens. If we do this half-assed measure, Clayton, we are going to lose. And agents are going to die and be severely injured because they are being attacked every single day, and no one's being truly arrested. Like Pritzker, Brandon, Johnson, those men need to be arrested because they are aiding and abetting. Bass, the mayor of LA, all of these people need to be arrested under 8 U.S.C. 1324.
Yeah, standing in the way of the federal government trying to get these illegals and violent criminals out of our country. I guess I'll get you out of here on this, JJ, which is how we talked about the 6,000 ICE agents. I know they put out a big call to hire like over 100,000 or 150,000. You see the TV ads everywhere. I mean, I've seen them repeatedly everywhere. I know their recruitment numbers have surged. But what about the Border Patrol? What do their numbers look like, and how many are we talking about are going to be going into these different 12 designated cities?
Well, at the end of Joe Biden's term, everyone was leaving. At the height of the United States Border Patrol, we had 21,000 agents, and that's still not enough. 21,000. We're below 15,000. 15. We're drowning. They're trying to push people through the academies as fast as they can. Their recruitment's skyrocketing, obviously, under Donald Trump. ICE is the same thing. But I tell people this, it is a 3-year mark from the day that you begin to, quote, recruit or hire an individual, an applicant. It's going to take you a good solid 3 years to get that person to be functional within the law enforcement range. So what needs to happen is retired military, retired state and local police, and retired agents like myself need to be hired, and hired quickly. I've been offered a job 3 months ago. I'm still waiting, as many of my former colleagues that have said, okay, I hear the call to get back in. I don't really want to, but I feel a moral obligation to my country to get back into the fight. Here I am. All right, I will go through all of the drug test and the medical and all the background check, everything that I left behind in retirement. I'm coming back in. I'm ready to go back into war for you, Donald Trump. And we are all sitting here, Clayton, waiting for a phone call. We are guys that have 20, 25 years in service, ran task forces, know what the hell we're doing, and we're sitting on the sideline begging them like, hey, calling HR. Excuse me, I have been waiting 3 months. I'm watching all of my brothers and sisters get destroyed out there. I think I could play a part in this. You asked for me to help. You sent out advertisement, PSAs, people have called me. Here I am. We're waiting. And when I mean we, I'm talking a large segment of retired guys that are ready to get in, and it's the government. It's just the government. We're waiting for some dude to hit a button to say, okay, you're ready to go. It's maddening, because we are the guys that have done this job, Clayton, know that it's not being done correctly. And one of the problems with it not being done correctly is there's not enough manpower, and guys like me are saying, we're here. We're going to leave our families. We're going to go back into a war zone. I got out of 24 years. I've been hurt multiple times, but I didn't die, thank God. So now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go back in. How about a little respect and just get us in to the ball game? We're all sitting on the sideline with our hands up saying, I'm ready to go, coach.
And we need you more than ever. I hope Stephen Miller sees this interview. I hope enough people maybe share it with Stephen and tag him on social media or something so that he's aware maybe some of the nuances here. But this is definitely, this is the federal government at its finest. You have people sitting there ready to go. I'm ready to jump in. I'm ready to jump in and help my country. But somebody, somewhere, some bureaucrat has not lit the green light yet for it. It's just disgusting. JJ, thank you so much for this. Thank you for, educating all of us about this. I hope you'll come back soon, and please update us with this process. Again, I'm always a glass half full kind of person, but when I see these numbers and I know what they're up against right now, it really is disheartening. So I want to be honest. I want to be excited. I want to be hopeful. And I want to hope that, these guys, Bovino is able to do his job to the maximum. And I hope the military is able to provide that support. I've been saying it for so long. Why do we, we don't need to be, we have 900 military bases around the world. We do not need to be sending these men to the Middle East. Like right here at home is where we have a crisis right now. So get these men home and protect the homeland right now. JJ, thanks as always. Great to see you, my friend.
You too. Thank you, Clayton.
And thanks to all of you for watching us on this, what is it today, Wednesday? Thank you guys so much for dialing us up. Hey, we have a daily newsletter. I'd love for you to all subscribe. It's totally free. Just head over to redacted.inc is the place to go. Put in your email address. We don't sell your stuff. We don't do any of that. We just give you a great newsletter delivered to your inbox first thing in the morning. You can read it over your cup of coffee. You can read it in about 5 or 10 minutes. Again, just put in your email address at redacted.inc. It's not .com. And by the way, our website, we just redesigned our entire website. So we've got our whole investing section, Redacted Invest. We've got a whole bunch of other great content up on the website now that's been totally redesigned from the ground up. So head on over and check it out, redacted.inc. And we'll be back here tomorrow, Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and have a great night.